introduced you before, but this is Miss Thomas. She is an author. She wrote a couple books, but the one she's going to be talking about today is called The Measures of Purpose in Life.
That's correct.
So she's an author and a motivational speaker as well.
Hi, good morning everyone. It's afternoon for me because I'm in the UK. So I literally just finished work and I had to stay in the building because if I went home I wouldn't make it in time. So I'm so sorry about the delays. It was telling me that it was preparing the meeting and obviously it wasn't, so I'm using my phone instead. So good morning, I hope you're all alright.
Yes, we are great.
Good.
We are great. Good morning.
Alright, so is everyone ready? Are the children in?
Yes, we have children. Yeah.
Okay. Alright, great. So like you said, my name is Kayisha Thomas and I am a published author, an entrepreneur and a motivational leader from London, UK. And my talk today is about purpose and understanding that failure is not the end. So I will be reading an extract from my book called Measures of Purpose in Life. And I really hope that you enjoy it and I hope you're inspired and encouraged to go after your purpose. And I also suggest that you stick around until the end because I do have a little competition and some prizes to win. So yeah, stick around until the end. And if you have any questions while I am speaking, if you write it down, because I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have after. And so I'll start with a quick reading from, like I said, my book, Measures of Purpose in Life. It's a guide to finding the treasure within. So here goes. It's important to know that failure doesn't equal the end. Ta-da! Did you already know that? I hope so. When you are working in accordance with your purpose and 1 or 2, 5 or 10 experiences of failure come upon you, keep going with passion and enthusiasm. Failure doesn't have to stop you from living out the reason you exist. It doesn't have to knock you out as if you were in a boxing ring with the greatest boxer of all time. Let me just tell you a really quick story, and it happens to be about driving. Many of you may be able to relate. So, I had to do my practical driving test a few times before I passed, and more times than I actually wanted to. At 18 years old, I had gone through high school and further education and always done very well. I got A's and B's, head teachers awards, and all of those achievements on my record. But my practical driving test was different. I was so passionate about driving. I had a really good driving instructor. I had passed my theory test first time, and then came my first practical test. I was sure that I was going to pass. But I had made one mistake under so much pressure, and I failed. The test started off great. But as soon as I made the mistake, I felt like the world was about to end. I was so distraught, I went home and cried into my pillow for ages. I had failed, and I'm telling you, I literally felt like the world, not just my world, the whole entire world had crumbled into 1 trillion pieces. I didn't do any driving lessons for a while after that, but winter was approaching and I wanted to be driving before the temperature dropped, and the bus and train were my best friends. I booked my second test, had a few lessons to prepare me again, and got into the car with the examiner. I was bent on passing this time. Nothing could tell me that I wasn't going to walk home with a big smile on my face and my certificate in hand, but that didn't happen. The examiner itched his right leg, his leg closest to me the whole time. He distracted me for the whole hour and threw me off my game completely. His itching made me tingle and made me nervous. I touched the curb when doing a 3-point turn, even though the first time he asked me to do it, I did it perfectly, but I still failed. I was so annoyed, I made up my mind that I was never taking a test again, but that couldn't really be the end. I was so aggravated by the itchy old man that I went home, cried a bit about my failure, and then got up with fire in my hands, literally. I opened my laptop and typed out a very strong letter complaining about the examiner. To me, his itching was his technique to make sure people failed. The practical test wasn't cheap, but I wasn't having it. That experience was not going to lead to my demise. I had to pass the test. A few weeks later, I called my driving instructor with a new outlook on the whole thing. I had taken the time to recover emotionally from my past failures and booked my test one last time. I was new to failure, so it didn't treat me well, but I had learned from it. I will never forget the day of my third and final test. It was January 29th, 2009, and in my opinion, one of the best days of my life. I even chose my outfit with purpose. If I had let my 2 first attempts stop me from trying again, I would have officially been a failure. But I was better than that, and so are you. You have the potential to succeed. You just have to see failures as stepping stones. You have to see them as practice and hurdles that make you stronger. If you fall, get up and try again. Learn from failure by looking at what you did, what didn't work the way you hoped, what you didn't do, and use them as building blocks that elevate you. So that's an extract from my book, Measures of Purpose in Life. And like I said in the extract, if I had stopped at the second attempt and didn't try again, I would have been a failure because I would have let those things stop me from trying again, from getting up and seeing that I can do it. And there's a lot of incidents in life where you feel like because you didn't succeed the first time, you're not going to try again. But you have to believe in yourself and know that you have the potential to do it. So I've got some pointers that extend on the story. So let me just get the points. So the first one is see failure as practice. So by now I hope that you realize that if you experience failure, it's not the end. It's only the end if you give up and never try again. And instead, if you look at it as practice or as trial and error, you'll realize that it is showing you the methods and the techniques and the attitudes that don't work. And if you understand that failure teaches you something and you make a note of things that don't work so well, you can easily accept that failure doesn't mean that you're a failure. It just means that you had a failed attempt. And it will change your outlook on it. You'll find an alternative, and then you get up with a positive outlook and you try again. There is a lyric in a famous song that says, "Closer to my dreams, I'm getting higher. How I feel it in my sleep, I'm getting higher, closer to my dreams." And I want to encourage you to see that no experience is a waste. And if you continue to stay positive and realize that if you go on your pursuit to live out your purpose, you will get there. The next point is be teachable. Now, that means that you are smart, you're intelligent, but you have to be teachable. You don't know everything there is to know. Some scientists can be considered as geniuses, but they still have to experiment and investigate to learn more and to find out how things work. So if you allow yourself to learn and to receive more knowledge in order to put yourself in a better position, you can be positioned as an expert in your field. But even then, you still have to learn and grow in your knowledge. So no matter how good you are, don't think that you are too good to take instructions from someone with experience and qualifications more than you. And for an example, Alicia Keys, we all know who she is. She's an exceptional singer. Her vocals are amazing, but she has a vocal coach. She can't get better and perform better than the previous if she doesn't have practice. And she's got a vocal coach who has had 45 years of experience in the music industry with artists that are well known and bigger than Alicia Keys. So if she were to be, let's say, big-headed and think that she's the best so she doesn't have to practice or have someone coach her, she may not be as big as she is now. So we have to realize that we have to be open to learning more and bettering ourselves. And then the last point is to celebrate all of your achievements. So no matter the size of your achievement and your successes, big, small, medium, celebrate them in some way. I'm not saying you have to have a party or do something extravagant, but you should make an effort to acknowledge the effort that you put in. and the work that caused you to reach your goals and achieve great things. I decided years ago to make a big deal of my achievements, and when I do it, it makes me feel really good. This past year, in January, I celebrated my 6th year anniversary on YouTube. I celebrate the release anniversary of my books. So on my birthday this year, this book will be 3 years old, and I obviously can't do anything special because of lockdown, but I will do something to acknowledge that it's been 3 years that I released the book. Last year I also celebrated the anniversary of my sunglasses business. It's been a year, and I couldn't have an event or anything, but the fact is I did a vlog and I shared my experience and things like that to acknowledge that it has been a year that I put the work in, and it feels really good to acknowledge that you've made an effort, you've committed yourself to something, and you've achieved something great. What else? So if you do an activity and make a big deal about it, no matter how insignificant it may be to somebody else, you did something amazing and you have something to be proud of. You can also use the idea of celebrating as an incentive, so that when you put your all into the next thing that you do, you have the idea of having a celebration to follow. So when you get your desired result, you know that you can celebrate, maybe go out for a meal with your friends and family or something like that, just to celebrate the fact that you achieved your desired result. And basically it's the little things that count. And then before I go, can I just remind you all to always be ready for good opportunities, and when they come, which they definitely will, don't go into them with negative thought, because if you have the fear of failure, you will stop yourself from moving forward. And if you love and respect yourself and those around you, you'll be in a much better position to achieve great things. Always take responsibility for your actions, and remember that failure is not the end. You're all superstars, and you can all soar like eagles.
Well, thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
I do, actually. I'm very interested in the fact that you're a published author, and so I just wondered, did you have a straight line to publishing, or was it more of a winding road? And if so, can you tell us about some of the hurdles you had while becoming an author?
So I have been a published author since November of 2016. My first book is called Ounce of Faith and Inspiration, and it was challenging in the sense that I did it all myself, but because I was so committed to releasing the book, I climbed those hurdles and knocked down the barriers. But because I self-published, I did have all of the creative power. I did my book cover. I found someone to write a prayer for the opening of the book. I did have a foreword, but one of the hurdles was that the person that wrote the foreword wanted to be taken out, and I had already published it, so then I had to do a second revision to take it out. And instead I put reviews from people that already purchased the first edition of it to replace it. So I had hurdles, but I continued to make sure that I got it out, because I felt like I had a message that I needed to share, and it is faith and inspiration, so everyone needs that. So I didn't want to stop because there were challenges. I used what was previously known as Createspace, which was owned by Amazon, but it's now KDP. So that's something that you could look into. There's no charges up front. You print on demand, so you don't have to buy 100 books and have it in your house until you sell them. You print as and when you need to. So when I do events, I can order 50, 30, 40 books, and I don't have to have a bulk in my possession until they get sold.
Thank you for that question. Okay. Well, these are high school students. So, what would be your biggest piece of advice, or your best piece of advice for a high school student who might be struggling now and can't down the line? How can having a purpose help them to stay on that path or get on the path to achieving that purpose?
Right, so like I mentioned, I was pretty successful in high school because I literally focused. I think actually I went to an all-girls school, and it meant I didn't have distractions, and so I focused on my education. I did my homework, I read books. Like, I'm an avid reader. I read 12 books a year. I'm currently halfway through my February book, and it's only the 3rd of February, so I'm pretty focused when it comes to reading and writing. It has helped me with my career. So I think what we need to do as young people is focus, because there are so much distractions in the world right now, whether it's social media or fashion and things like that. So when you take all of those distractions out and just focus on what's important, your education, your future, your career, you will give it your all, and believe in yourself. You have so much potential. You have to put aside the doubts and the negativity. People that say negative things about you, you don't believe them, because there's so much things that people say, and most of the time it's because they don't believe in themselves and the power that they have, and they pass it on to you. So don't believe any negative things that you hear. Have positive affirmations. Say, I am powerful, I'm strong, I'm beautiful, I can do it. If you get up in the morning and you start saying things like that, you'll put it into your mind, and it will become a part of your day, a part of your week, your month, your year, and that will help you. I think it's also important, especially in high school, to have a routine. I know right now it's difficult because of the lockdown, but if you have a routine, you dedicate yourself to doing these things at this time, and it will make sure that you tick things off the list and you get these things done, and then you have fun after. You reward yourself because you made those things that are important come first, and then you watch TV, you play the PlayStation, you do those kind of things after. And then in regards to your purpose, I feel like your purpose has been with you since you were born, even before you were born, when you were conceived. And so finding out what it is as simple as asking yourself, what are you interested in? What are your passions? Like, what do you find interesting? What brings you joy? What can you not live without? Is there a talent that you have that keeps popping up somewhere in your life? And make a note of those things. I did mention in the book that you should ask your parents and people that have known you since you were a baby, like, what did you show interest in? Because sometimes we forget that we had certain skills and talents and things that we portrayed as children, and we left them behind. And if you get a reminder of those things, it may be that is just your purpose. And then, like I said, what are you passionate about? What do you feel like you contribute to the world and it brings you joy as you do it? So if you work out what those things are, then you can move forward with focusing on those things, expanding and sharing that with the world to make the world a better place.
Very good advice. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Good morning, Miss Kayisha.
Good
Thank
morning.
you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Question is, do we need to have a purpose to be successful?
Good question. I'd say you may not, but you are here on earth for a reason, and so that is a purpose in itself. It's just that it helps to know what the reason is, like what are you called to do, in order for you to focus on that thing, make it part of your priority so you can plan and move forward with whatever it is that you need to do. Are you an architect? Are you supposed to be a dancer? Should you look after children? So there's a lot of times when you can be successful in an area and it may be short-lived because there's something else that you should dedicate your time and your heart to. So I do think that if there's something that you're passionate about, that it should be what you focus on, instead of it being that it's a quick overnight success and then that's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I definitely agree too. I think you need a purpose as well because it'll keep you from attaching on to every big thing that comes.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like a roadmap or a GPS. If you put in where you're going, you know, it's hard to get distracted.
Right.
You know, you're not as easily distracted if you know that you're where you're going.
Yeah.
And it'll keep you from doing things that you have no business doing because it doesn't fall in line with where you're going.
Correct.
So I think that's absolutely true.
Yeah, because you could get pulled in different directions. There's so much trends and things that we see right now, and if you continue to latch yourself onto different things just because it's the it thing, you'll be lost, and your passion does guide you and drive you because it's clearly what you're supposed to be doing and what you can excel at.
Right.
I do have a couple other questions, Ms. Nicole.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I mean, just kind of like bombard you with questions, Ms. Kayisha, but you're so young, and it's wonderful to see someone at your age to be so accomplished and so driven.
Before you go on, do you know how old I am? You might be surprised.
I might be, actually. I would have given you early 20s, but yeah.
No.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, there you go.
I always get that, but I'm happy to share because people look at me and my physical appearance is that I do look young, but then I open my mouth or I do something and it's, oh my gosh, she's so mature. I will be 31 on February 26th.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, you definitely had me on that one then. But so in terms of your, like, did you do things like vision boards, things that help to keep you grounded in your purpose? Like, you know, could you kind of give us an idea of what your daily routine might be? Something like that, just to kind of give students a bit more of an idea of what you mean by routine.
Yes. Okay. So in regards to a vision board, I can take you back to 2009. I had a BlackBerry Curve. I don't know if anyone remembers a BlackBerry now. We've all moved on to iPhones and stuff. But I had a BlackBerry Curve, and I had a note that I called My Life and Beyond. And I wrote down everything I wanted to achieve. So one of them was to publish 2 or 4 books. It was to be a photographer and do photo shoots. It was to, I wanted to skydive. Like I had literally a list of things that I wanted to achieve. And another one of them, which I can remember is, and I wrote down, well, I typed Sparks sunglasses line. Now, I've been able to tick off a few of the things on the list. There's still some I haven't done. I haven't gone on a skydive and I haven't been in the hot air balloon, and I will do those one day because it is my dream. But I've managed to publish 5 books, so I've ticked that off. I have set up my sunglasses business. It was a whole 10 years after I had written it in my BlackBerry, but I did that. And so I found, and I'm a photographer, I was mentored and coached by a professional photographer from Amsterdam whilst I was in Florida. And then he mentored me whilst I was in college as well. So I self-taught, but then I had him to assist me. So I ticked that off as well. And so what helped me is writing down the things that I wanted to achieve and holding myself accountable to the things I said I wanted to do in life. And then not forgetting as well, because like I said, I want to skydive and do those things. And if I didn't write those things down, it could have just been gone with, you know, all the other memories that you forget. But I wrote them down, I'm ticking them off as I go along, and that holds me accountable. And then in regards to a routine, I get up in the morning and I pray, I read my Bible, I get ready for work. I'm a receptionist for an international company, so I've got to be early. That's so important because when I open the receptionist, I'm here first, and there's no way that I can be late because people are expecting to be let into the building. So I've got to make sure that I'm on time. So punctuation is so important. I make sure I have a really good breakfast. I'm a pescatarian, so my diet is really important. I've also got eczema, so I can't have dairy products. So I make a lot of food from scratch. And one of the things that really helps me to be punctual is preparing things from the day before, making sure my clothes are ironed and everything, all my food items are packed up and ready to go. So all I have to do is put them in my bag and get dressed. I look after my hair and my skin. Like, those self-care things are really important to me, because if I don't do it, who else will? And then when I'm on my way to work, I read. I get on the bus to work purely because it's an hour away, and so it's easy for me to get on the bus. I have my books and I read. I'll show you what I'm reading right now, actually. You might like this. This is a really good motivational book. It's called How to Win in Life, Business, and Everything Else. I literally, like I said, I started it on Monday and I'm already on page 71. It's that good. It's such a page turner. But reading every day is so important to me. I've also got a little calendar that I was given for Christmas by a colleague, and it has a quote with it. So each day it helps me to think about how to simplify life, because over the past couple of years, especially last year, it was hectic. And with all that's going on, and it's so important to simplify life to make it less difficult, because it's difficult as it is. So if we take out all of the things that we do to make life even more complicated, we can focus on the things that are important. So I make a point to read that quote in the morning for each day. And then I try to literally keep my mind clear before I start work. I listen to some gospel and have my little praise and worship session. And then I focus while I'm at work. And then when I'm on my way back home, I literally just make sure that I'm wondering, what am I going to have for dinner? Trying to be healthy. Like I said, I'm pescatarian, but so I eat seafood and vegetables, a lot of fruits. I can show you this. I've been drinking today lemon and strawberries in water with a bit of honey. So that's really refreshing and it keeps me healthy. It's a lot of positivity and no complaining, no moaning about things, just being grateful. That's pretty much my routine. And it was really similar when I was in high school, actually. And I think that's what's kept me grounded. I haven't changed a lot, but I've improved it. And it's helped me as I've matured to have some stability.
How you doing? I'm Mr. Bridges. I'm actually administrator at Green Valley Success Academy. We just want to say thank you for joining us
You're welcome.
and sharing with us. So I learned a lot from you today, and I kind of affirmed some of the things that you're doing that also I want to incorporate and have incorporated in my life. I noticed that you achieve success in your own terms. You mentioned a
Yeah.
lot of stuff that you do, but you pretty much achieving success in your own terms. And I think answering Mr. Powell's question, can you achieve success? Do you need a purpose? So I think because you achieve success, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because you make sure that you achieve success in your own terms, it kind of drives your passion for what you do, and you live a life of meaning because of that. But not only that, you actually have clarity on what's important and what's unimportant. Is that what I'm taking away? That's what I'm taking away from you.
Yes. I don't want to decide that I have to be successful based on other people's numbers and their expectations of me. I want to make sure that I'm happy with what I'm doing. There's no pressure. My parents are proud. They're very supportive. My mum and dad, they're always there for me. And let me tell you something, actually. I left this book at home this morning, and I had to get my mum to put it in an Uber to get it to me at work, because there was no way I'd make it back home. And if it wasn't for her, I would have had to get the ebook copy. So my parents they're so supportive, and I think that has helped me. They don't pressure me to do what they think I should do. They've followed me on my journey, and they've been there to encourage me and their presence is more than them saying, Kayisha, I want you to do this, because they've never done that. And so, yeah, I don't feel like the numbers that everyone else lives by should rule my life and what I need to achieve. In my opinion, there's God's plan is bigger than man's plan. And so the plan that he has for me is what I have to focus on. So the success that and my name, actually, before I forget, my name means living prosperously. And so I decided, when I found out what it meant, to live out the meaning of my name. And basically that literally means I have no pressure to be what anyone else says, because I'm going to live prosperously.
Great. So, and thank you again. So life purpose is the starting point of life. And that's what I heard you say. And so shout out to our students such as Todd Davis and some of the others who are joining us today. And hopefully they heard that message.
I hope so. Honestly, I have a competition as well. I don't want to forget, because, and I think my laptop's gone to sleep. I want to give away copies of my book. So the only one I have with me today is this one, but I have one called Ounce of Faith and Inspiration and Quotes of Faith and Inspiration. So the first one is like devotionals that you can read day by day, or you can read page after page. And it goes between the faith and inspiration. And then the next one is the quotes. So they're bite-sized pieces. And pretty much you can just obviously read a quote a day if you like to, and find a quote to live by, because quotes have really helped me. The fact that I got a quotes book is simply because, and you can have a look at this, I am a post-it note person. I write everything on post-it notes. I've got so much post-it notes with thoughts that come to my mind, and I write them down and I save them, because you never know when something that came to mind is really going to be the next big thing. And so I've written so much things down on post-it notes, and that thing helped me to write my quotes book. The next one was this one. So this is also available to win in the prize, about the competition. And then my most recent book, which will be 2 years old. No, in fact, 3 years old, because we're in 2021 now. 3 years old on Valentine's Day, is called Mum and Dad, We Know What Love Is. And it is a children's book, so for children between 11 and 13. So if there's any children between that age group on the call, if you do win, it will be a good book for you to choose. These children start high school, and they're twins, they're boy and girl twins, and they go on a journey to find love, but also to enjoy their first day of high school. So my competition is for you to write a poem about your purpose and to submit that to my email address. If you write it down, it's KAYISHA.online, ONLINE, @outlook.com. And if you write a poem about your purpose, about what you're passionate about and what you want to achieve in life, and submit it to me, I will choose. Do you know what? You may all even win, because I want to give you these books. You can get an ebook copy of any book that you choose from my author library, and I will just send you the book as a gift to your email address. And yeah, so any of them is available for you to win. So get writing, and the deadline is, I'd say, the 17th of February. So you'll call in 2 weeks, so that Terry can announce who's been involved in the competition and who has won the prizes.
They can also send it to me, and then I can forward it to you.
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay.
But do you have to be a child to win the competition? But can the adults join in?
Yeah, go, by all means. Yeah, I love to encourage people to read and write. So go ahead, write a poem, express yourself. That's what poems are. They're expressions of how you feel, your experiences. So yeah, go ahead.
Brilliant.
Kayisha, can you tell us the name of that book that you're reading again, How to Win, and the name of the author?
Oh, How to Win in Life, Business, and Everything Else. It's by J.J. Lynch.
Thank you.
You're welcome. There is.
And I'm recording this too, so if anyone wants a recording of it, just send me an email. Does anyone else have any questions or comments?
Miss Kayisha, good morning. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
This is Roman Wright. I have an observation that's going to lead to a reflection, which I think would probably be relevant to the students that we teach in an alternative high school, Annapolis Road Academy.
Okay.
Listening to you in your testimony, two things are very apparent. Number one, you become a very disciplined individual in terms of your daily life goings on. And number two, you're an incredibly literate person. And by literate, I mean, you know, able to read, write, and probably work with numbers to a certain level. Here's my question, which I'm asking you to reflect on. As you reflect back and look over the course of your life, how easy or how difficult would it have been for you to discover, figure out how to measure your purpose if you were not literate?
I think difficult purely because my ability to read helped me to write better. I expanded my vocabulary. I opened up my mind to new things. I learned so much from books. And like I mentioned previously, that I have eczema. And my mum tells everybody that Kayisha never went to bed at night without reading a book. No matter how itchy she was, no matter how whatever, she says, I always went to bed with a book. And that pattern of behavior when I was a child, suffering with eczema, has continued into my adulthood. Like I said, I read 12 books a year. And with everything else that I do, I don't know how I manage, but I commit myself to doing that. I use the Goodreads app and go along with my the challenge to read the book. So as soon as I finished one, I tick it off and it congratulates you. It tells you that you've got to do this much more before the end of the year. And so that's helped. It's kind of motivational. But I think you're right in saying that I wouldn't really say numbers as much because I'm not that great at maths, but I did make sure that I got tutoring outside of school to make sure that I was better at maths. For example, algebra, I wasn't that great and I focused on getting someone to help me with algebra so that I could do better with that. And then I just continued to really keep a more committed attitude to my education, and then obviously it's continued into my adult life, because if I didn't do that, I'd fall behind and I wouldn't be achieving the things that I have done or living the life that I am living now.
No, I appreciate your answer. And the reason why I asked you to reflect and expound on that is because many of us try to meet the challenge every day of teaching and learning from students who for the most part, have to deal with more problems on a day-to-day basis than being in other kinds of situations where they can kind of focus on discovering, trying to figure out how to measure their purpose. And so it seems to me, as I listen to you in your recitation, it seems to me that one of the measurements of your purpose is literacy. And so your response to my question kind of gives me some additional thoughts on how I might begin to encourage folks that are, particularly young folks that are focused more on what we might call a problem-driven life, to begin to think about how they might begin to take small steps towards discovering that purpose. And also unlocking one of the very important keys, which you demonstrate, and that is to begin that journey. I think one of the first steps is you got to begin to figure out how to read and how to take reading more seriously. So
Yes, I agree.
and we as educators, we all encounter that challenge every day. And so I just, what you did was you kind of affirmed for me the importance of promoting and encouraging just literacy in and of itself. Just read a book, any kind of book. And so I appreciate that, and thank you for that part of your message today.
You're welcome, and I can expand on that purely because my nephew at the moment is 14 years old. He's not in school because of the pandemic over here as well. He does his online classes. But a few years ago, we started a auntie-nephew book club to encourage him to read. So the books that I read, not exactly books like this, but what's her name? The book that goes with the movie The Hate You Give, we started with that so that we could go to the movies together. And he wanted to go with me, not with his friends who had gone to see. He wanted to go with me so we could talk about it after. But we read the book first and then we went to watch the movie, and we've continued. Our next book was Everything Everything, and we chose that because we both have allergies. So I can't have dairy and he can't eat fish and seafood. So the character in the book has allergies and she's like to everything, and she's literally at home with purified air and everything white, everything packaged up. She can't touch anything. So we read that book together because we could relate and talk about it after. So I encouraged that in him because he didn't like reading, but he's an actor. He's actually in a movie that's now on Netflix, and he had to read his script. If he didn't take reading seriously, he wouldn't be able to read and understand his scripts and then, be in the movie successfully. So there's a great deal of importance in reading and writing and learning from literature.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I think we also have to remember that for our students, that some of them, well, a good number of them are also in traumatic states where, they're pushed beyond their ability to cope. So if you look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, self-actualization and purpose is kind of at the top. At the bottom, you have safety. So if those needs aren't met first, it's kind of hard to develop a purpose. So what we have to do is you can definitely use literacy as a form of, as a coping mechanism, because if you're able to sit down and read, then your brain can kind of develop new connections to say, okay, we are safe. Because you generally can't read or take in what you're trying to do if you don't feel safe. So just to develop new connections, we can tell the students, okay, let's have 30 minutes of reading, and then that will make new connections to let them know slowly but surely that they are safe. And then as they feel more safe, then they can kind of climb that Maslow's hierarchy of needs to get to the purpose. So definitely we can introduce reading as a way to make new connections to safety, as they travel through, trying to tackle the trauma, to heal from the traumas, to where they can say, okay, well, I want to do this. They can then begin to have a vision for their life, and develop a purpose. And that can definitely start with reading.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, well, thank you so much for all of the gems that you have dropped. For us, last I checked, I think there were like 32 people on the call, and I'm recording it. So if anyone wants a copy of it, just send me an email and I'll send you out the recording as well. And thank you again for your time. Because what time is it over in London?
It is 4:30. I finished work at 3 o'clock. I made sure I got the early shift today. So another thing is, when I do an early shift, it's 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. But I have to wake up at 4:40 a.m. and leave the house at 5:30 to get here. So that's another thing. Like, punctuality is so important. Like I said before, I can't be late, because if I'm late, I can't open the reception on time and people will be waiting, and that's not good for my reputation. So punctuality is so important. I have an alarm, and then I have another one in case I don't hear the other one. And I don't want to disturb my family members in the house, but they all understand that being punctual is so important to me. From my childhood, it's gone all the way up until my adulthood, because it's so important to respect people's time and what's important, especially in school, but also in your career. So you have to start that from when you're young and bring it forward into your adulthood.
Yes, discipline, because you can want to get on this plane at 4 o'clock, but if you don't have the discipline to do what you need to do to get on it, you'll never make it.
Right.
So, thank you so much.
Ms. McCall, can I just say something to Ms.
Sure.
Kayisha? I just want to really say thank you. My name is Ms. Spence. I'm the instructional lead teacher over at Green Valley. And I just want to say thank you for coming in and not just sharing your gems, but I appreciate that you have chosen and then can express to other people to live life on your own terms, right? Not to say, oh, society says in order for me to be successful, I must be a doctor, I must be a lawyer, I must be this, I must be that, but to decide what you want out of life and then to go after that and then to hold meetings like this in another country, you know what I'm saying, through the Zoom for students in another country that you may never meet in life. Just you don't know what seeds you may have planted, and not just the children, but in some of the adults as well. And so I just wanted to encourage you to keep that up, because we all have a story, and I appreciate you telling your story. And one of the things that I took away from it the most is to live life the way you want to live life, as opposed to under the constraints or confines of other people's opinions. So well done to you.
Thank you very much. I'm so glad you have been inspired. My motto and my slogan for everything that I do is for people to be inspired. So it's literally be inspired. It's short and sweet, but it's powerful. And so everything I do, it's to be inspired. Recently, my manager went on my Instagram. I think she sent me an email yesterday. She went on my Instagram and saw all the things that I do, and she had no idea. And she was so impressed. And so I'm glad that even on my Instagram page, I can inspire. And so I'm really glad that I've been able to bring some encouragement and motivation to you. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world. I'm happy to be able to be of service. And I actually found out about this on Instagram with a post of someone that I follow. So it's just amazing that I've been able to connect and then fulfill my call to inspire and uplift.
Well, thank you for answering the call and responding to my post.
You're welcome.
My sister. Thank you so much. And that concludes our speaker series for today. Thank you so much for everyone attending and staying on. We really appreciate it. And thank you, Ms. Thomas, for answering the call.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.